Hello, hello, hello. Let's see. Looking for. Hello, hello. I'm gonna light my candle. Hello.
Hi. Sorry.
Hi. I'm gonna light my candle. Let's let a few ladies join in the live before we get started.
I got my kindness mug. I don't have a candle, but I have a mug of kindness.
That's good. Are you drinking some tea?
Cocoa powder with almond milk. I mix it up and I heat it up and it tastes a little bit of sugar and it tastes just like hot chocolate.
Nice. I love it. Usually I'll have like some tea or water nearby, but I decided to just have the candle today.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. Let's see, I'm gonna move this up a tad bit. There we go. Hello, ladies. Where are you guys coming from? Let me know in the comments.
Oh, hi, Ronya. Oh, that's a friend of mine.
Okay, nice, nice.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. Let a few more ladies join in. Comment, you guys, where are you from? Like city, state, or country? Like, where are you guys from? Let me know. Oh, thank you, Natural K. Thank you.
I'm from New York. I don't think I established
No,
that.
you did. Okay, you said you're from New York. I love New York.
Yes.
Nice. I was in New York October or November last year.
Oh, cool. What part?
Central Park.
I know where that
So just did, oh my God, we did a helicopter ride.
is. That's amazing. I live here and I haven't done that.
It was so much fun.
really cool.
It was the perfect time because like Times Square was so empty. So I was like in the middle of Times Square taking pictures.
Yeah,
Of Tampa, Florida. Nice. Florida is always nice. Sunshine State. Yeah. I'm glad you ladies are joining us. So before we go into the live, I do want to start with the disclaimer. I am not a I'm not a therapist or a doctor. So full disclaimer, I want to give that for this episode. I've talked about that in a podcast before, but I want to do a full disclaimer that I'm not a licensed therapist or a doctor. I am just someone who is showing up in the world, spreading positivity through my voice on Habits of a Goddess podcast, on IG Live, connecting with you guys. And so I want to make sure you guys have that full disclaimer before we get into the live and talk. So I just want to make sure everyone understand I'm not a doctor, psychiatrist, a licensed therapist, none of that. So I'm just a goddess that's showing up and sharing her gift with the world through my voice. And so, yeah. Hello, ladies. Chicago is in the house. Yes, yes.
I'm so excited. I love this.
I'm excited too. Literally listening right now to your podcast. I love it. I love it.
Everyone, I feel like I'm the fan that got pulled on stage right now. Like, just so you know, feel very excited because I listen to it every morning religiously. I can't stop telling people about it, and they're just like, just affirmations. I'm like, you don't understand. It helps you manifest things.
It
like,
helps
it's
you.
great.
It helps you. It's so much deeper than that.
100%.
That's awesome. Toronto. Okay, cool. Okay. So before we get deeper into what we're going to talk about today, I'll let Christina introduce herself. And then I'll introduce myself after she does, just in case anyone's from Christina's page don't know who I am.
Okay.
So the floor is yours.
Oh, thank you. Awesome. So my name is Christina. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a 23-year-old graduate student. I'm actually studying to be a history teacher. I also started up a little side Instagram, which she plugged so graciously for me. That's called Chronically Resilient. It's the reason I made it is because of, I'll get into that story later. It's just a little place where I post infographics on like various chronic illness issues to really raise awareness and post some wellness tips for people that have those issues. And sometimes I post memes or funny things. It's just really stigmatized topic. Like chronic illness is just stigmatized, and some people are afraid to be sick, but unfortunately it's an epidemic, right, in modern society. And I think that by failing to inform ourselves about like basic health issues, whether that information is how to take care of sick people or how to enact proper self-care for ourselves so that we don't get sick, you know, we're hurting ourselves. And like our schools don't teach this. And I think it's a systemic issue. That's why I have a whole rant. Anyway, but I say chronic illness, but I mean it like broadly. Like there's invisible illnesses like POTS, like post-osteal tachycardia syndrome, and IBS, which is like irritable bowel syndrome. But there's also mental illnesses like substance abuse, eating disorders, depression, anxiety, like any variety of conditions that negatively impacts your health and wellness. Because the truth is, like, especially in America, our environments are so artificial, more than they've ever been, right? And it's no surprise that like our minds and bodies are having a really hard time adjusting, right? So I'm hoping to cultivate like a diverse following that includes literally everyone. I want to empower my followers to pursue their wellness goals with aesthetic, accessible information. That's just me. Sorry, that was a little long, but hopefully I didn't lose you guys. But that's me.
Okay, and so for those who are new to Habits of a Goddess page, coming over from Christina's page, my name is Jasmine. I am the founder and the goddess behind Habits of a Goddess podcast, and it's a podcast for women to take care of their mental, physical, spiritual health with positive affirmations geared towards self-care, self-love, and spiritual affirmations, and also have Habits of a Goddess candle line as well, along with our online courses. That is, everything is like link in the bio if you guys want to check that out. But I am the beautiful goddess behind the podcast, and this page is all about you guys coming together in a community where we're all like-minded, we're all working on ourselves, and just we're healing ourselves collectively, and we're blossoming into the world and just showing up. And I appreciate Christina reaching out to me and want to share with you guys her story and how affirmations have helped transfer her life. So speaking of that, I'm going to let Christina share her story that she shared with me. I'm so gracious for that. She has a beautiful story, and I want you guys to just listen to her with an open heart, open mind, and I know like someone on this live can relate to Christina's story, so that's why I felt like she definitely should come on live and share her story, because we're all in this journey and we're all seeking something, right, that can just help us along the way. And I feel like when you see women like me, women like Christina, then you feel more empowered to continue doing your inner work, continue affirmations, and you just feel a sense of like, okay, someone out in the world is I can relate to as well. So I'm going to let Christina have the floor. She's going to share her story, what she shared with me. And if you guys have any questions for Christina, just add it in like the comment box. I don't know if you guys can see it. There's like a little question mark. Just add it there, or just comment in the comment section, and then Christina will answer your questions after after she shared her story, so we don't kind of get disrupted. So I'll let Christina have the floor.
Okay, thank you. I've prepared very diligently for this, so I have it right here. But anyway, so I'll get into it. So like about a year ago, just when COVID had clearly begun to threaten our sense of normalcy, I was on the cusp of a lot of things. I was just about to graduate from college, and I was planning to go to law school, although my test score kind of had a long way to go. For those of you that are unfamiliar, the law school admissions test, or the LSAT, is incredibly important for your application. If you do poorly on that, you can basically count yourself out of any top schools or scholarships. Anyhow, while all this was happening, my physical health started to decline. My nights were becoming more and more restless, and I found myself suffering from like a lot of side effects from a prescription I was taking for like ADHD. I stopped taking the medication, but I was still experiencing restlessness and anxiety, just like never. Like, it was so weird. And then one day in the middle of the night, I swore my left arm had just started vibrating. It was like a massage chair that had started going off my arm. That's the only way I can explain it. It sounds crazy. I know. It was a very terrifying experience, even though it sounds like fairly innocuous, right? It wouldn't let me sleep. I'd wake up at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and the lack of sleep. I don't know. I'm sure you guys are aware, lack of sleep is the worst. It drove me crazy. The doctors were just like, oh, you're just anxious. But like, I knew my body, and I was like, something is up. It was hard because I was one of those people that really liked to exercise. Sounds weird, right? But the worst part was that the shaking feeling worsened when I exercised, and that's how it affected my sleep. And I love to exercise because it helped me manage anxiety, weight control, and I was a group fitness instructor at the time. I loved inspiring other people to push their limits. Consequently, I became very depressed. I lost my self-confidence. I lost a lot of weight from anxiously poring over fringe research papers on the internet, and I became suicidal. It was a really difficult time for me. I didn't know who I was anymore. I knew I couldn't handle law school. I was like, I'm sick. I don't know what to do. And I took such good care of myself. I was eating salads. I'm like, I'm doing all the right things. Why is this happening to me? So I didn't apply to law school. I devoted more time to getting on medication for depression and nerve pain, which actually helped. I eventually found one. But needless to say, this entire time, I was not mentally stable at all. I had gone from stellar wellness role model student to very struggling, sick person. I just every day was a struggle. My negative thoughts were inescapable. I was like, why me? I was like, why do I feel like my dreams are shattered? Why did this happen to me? What caused it? How can it can't reverse? It's still happening. I found medication, but it helped it a little, but it didn't make it go away. Why won't I heal? I'm worthless without my body, right? Because I lost so much weight and I wasn't muscular like I used to be. And I felt like I was worthless because I couldn't push myself. So I just sat in this misery, driving my parents, who had taken me in for the time being, crazy. I wanted to be committed to a mental hospital. My mom said it wasn't necessary, and I was like, I need to go. It was bad. I saw therapists too, right? Everybody's like, oh, just see therapists. It wasn't helping, right? So nothing seemed to work. The depression medication kind of halted the suicidal thoughts, but I could not shake the feeling of meaninglessness. And so one day, someone introduced me to the idea of positive affirmations. It was someone I met on Reddit, actually. It was a random chronic.
On Reddit?
Yes, on Reddit.
Okay.
That is a stranger on the internet. I know. And he was struggling with issues worse than mine. And I was like, wow. And he's like, this is how I get out of it. And it was some motivational speaker. And I was like, whoa, this is cool. But I never got into it in a systematic way. I just kind of sometimes would listen to positive stuff. And I always felt great afterwards. Right. And I think I really didn't do it because I didn't realize that I deserved or needed that time. I realized I felt better after it, but I was like, it just feels weird listening to positive stuff when you're so depressed. It just feels cheesy. It doesn't feel right. And you're like, okay, I guess I can kind of listen to it sometimes, but it's just, yeah. So I didn't realize that I needed that time to dedicate to help my mindset grow, right? A lot of positive and motivational speakers tell you about the importance of routine and believing in yourself. And you're like, blah. They don't tell you that you have to do it every single day. And so the changes in my life at that time were very sporadic, occasional, and the depression was still there. I was like, yeah, sometimes I feel okay, but right now, most of the time I feel awful. And so the biggest difference in my journey so far, that's has really been just stumbling on this podcast. So this podcast has just worked itself into my morning routine. I do it all the time. And if I don't do it, I'm like, I had a bad day. I didn't tell myself how much I love myself. It's not there. Right. So I'm it always helps me get over those depressive thought patterns that's loom in my mind. Cause I find myself, I don't know how many of you can relate, but you're just going about your day. I'm like, oh, I'm stupid. Why did I do this? I'm sick, or whatever it is. I'm not valuable. And they were cemented in my mind because I had been struggling for so long. Right? You can't just go from I am worthless to I am a goddess, right? That is a very big
It's a
jump.
big leap.
Yeah. And so only when I allowed myself to regularly think about what could be possible and speak it into my reality on a regular, consistent basis. Things like I am happy, I am a divine goddess, I am loved, etc. did I begin to manifest it, right, in my daily life? I started cleaning my room again. I started being self-reliant again. Like I wasn't suicidal, right? So I was like kind of depressed, but I was just getting by. You ever know that thing where you're like drinking a lot of coffee because you're like, I have no motivation to do anything, but this will help me. And I was in that place where I wasn't falling off the cliff, but like I was like, yeah, the cliff isn't that bad. You know what I mean? And so like now I'm in a place where like I am like, okay, I love myself. This is something I can do. I start to adopt hobbies, interact with the world in a net positive way. My mindset and everything shift. I felt happy. I'm sharing this story with you all basically because I want you all to realize that happiness is accessible to everyone, but it comes from routinely incorporating self-affirming positive thoughts into the fabric of your life, right? The background noise needs to shift from I am worthless to I am a wonderful being who is valuable and contributes to the world. And you can do this. You are the key to your own journey. And there was one podcast episode I really liked. I think it was on productivity. And she says, I step out of my own way. And I was like, oh my God. I made my bed after that. I was like, I hate making my bed. I don't like it. And then after I listened to that, I was like, you know what, Christina, you're going to make your bed. It's okay. You step out of your way. You are the reason why this room isn't clean right now. And you can make that bed. And I don't know how many of you struggle with making your bed, but if you do that in the morning, sometimes like the whole day is like, yep, I did it. I can do everything else. Anyway, so that's my little story there. But yeah, so that's, yeah. Any questions? I answered all the ones you sent me. I have responses to all of that.
It's a beautiful story, and I'm gonna scroll up and read some of the comments just in case there's questions. But there were some beautiful comments. But before I do, I want to point out that you said that at first, when you first started transforming, like going from self-sabotaging thoughts, negative thinking, right, to like, okay, I'm a goddess, and it didn't feel as real, right, because it was like a big leap for you.
Yeah.
It's like a new muscle you are practicing. So you have to kind of like, it almost feels like, oh my God, I feel fake for doing this. Like, I feel so fake. This is not me. I'm listening to this podcast. The affirmations are playing, but I don't feel like this right now. This isn't my reality. My reality, yeah. I feel depressed, or I feel sad, or I feel angry, whatever it is that you're feeling. And it has to become your lifestyle. When it starts to incorporate in your daily lifestyle, that's when you become the thing. And so it's not going to happen overnight. I think a lot of times when people start this journey, they think, okay, I'll listen to an episode and then I'm good. And it's like, no, you have to do this like routine, and it doesn't have to be a routine. It could be a ritual. Like how you said you started with making your bed. That was like your first step. You went from not making your bed at all to like, okay, I'm going to make my bed. And maybe while you're making your bed, you have the podcast playing. So now you're like having fun making your bed. It becomes like really easy to do. It's like, okay, when I get out the bed, I make it really nice and pretty, have my pillows all fluffed up. Yes. And so like you enjoy making your bed now, and then you go into the next step. So I just wanted to point that out because I caught that when you said that. And I know a lot of times when, when we start something completely new and it's different for us and it seems like out of our comfort zone, it's a new muscle that we're practicing. Speaking positivity into our life, speaking, beautiful words, and feeling beautiful and feeling worthy of those words that we're saying to ourselves. It comes in routine. It comes you doing it every day. It's not something you just do one time every 6 months.
Yeah.
It's like it becomes your lifestyle. Like you live and breathe and think the thing, So I'm going to see what you guys are saying. Let's see. And if you want to read some of the comments, you're more than welcome. If you see some that stands out. So I said, laugh aloud, keep telling everyone to, I'm assuming, to listen to the podcast. Someone said, very true. Thank you for taking the time to educate those unaware of mental health and how real it is. Thank you. Hey, D Bear. Thank you for that. And that's so true. And that is so true. Let's see what you guys are saying. You're just anxious. Heard that. Yeah, nothing is worse than having doctors not understanding. You are a beautiful soul. I love that. I love
very
that.
true. Thank you. Yeah. Yes.
And she said, also, oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, just wanted to add, there was one comment by, I think, a social worker. She's like, I would recommend trying different things, which is true. Cause I don't know if you heard that, but I did try medication and I was on it and it did help. So it's not everything, but it is crucial. It's like becoming healthy, right? Like you got to do the gym, you got to do the diet, right? Like exercise, it's not everything, but it'll make you feel much better in addition to the diet. So I like to see mental health just like physical health. You can't just, eat one vegetable and you're like, yep, I'm good. I am health. This is me. You have to do the gym. You have to really work that whole diet and mental health in a similar way. I'm not a professional, right? So I'm also not a professional. I'm just speaking from my own journey. And something that Jasmine asked me before was like, why was the therapist not helpful for you when you were depressed, right? Because some people really are like, therapy changed my life, and it does. But for me, like after a certain point, like it felt useless because I felt like she couldn't empathize with me because she had never experienced like this random sickness at 23. Like she didn't really know what that felt like. And I was like, I don't think she really understood me. And I would like sometimes hide how depressed I was. Like my dad would be like, Christina, you sounded like you were fine the whole time. I don't know how many of you put on a face for your therapist, but I was doing that. I wasn't being honest. I wasn't being vulnerable because I felt like it wasn't me. And the reason I turn to affirmation so much is because I know that it's an internal shift that I have to make towards my life. She can tell me, she can speak positive words towards me all I want once a week. But if I don't do that on a regular basis, the difference isn't going to happen in my life, right? And
Yes.
so, yeah,
And
yeah.
and
You
one
want to add
thing I think that was luxurious wealth that comment that. So I want to encourage those who are seeking therapy and who are who may want to try therapy is that not every therapist is going to be like one size fit all. So you have to kind of just do your due diligence. You have to try and see which therapist worked for me. And therapy can come in different forms. It doesn't just have to be just actually having a therapist. It could be you exercising, it could be meditating, it could be eating healthy. So like those are additional to that as well. I do want to say that. And I am someone who was in therapy for 4 years, and I outgrew it because I had already like built up this momentum. I knew how to take care of my well-being. I knew how to like face the things that I was like suppressing, and I started addressing it. And so in the beginning of therapy, I was only focusing on things that like made me happy, right? We only focus on the good, right? But I knew at some point in my life I needed to address those things that I didn't want to look at.
yes.
And we're not going to get into it on this live because it's about Christina, but
Huh.
I want to stress that enough and say to those who may be thinking about therapy, no one's trying to discourage you to not go or to go, but it's just do your own homework, do your own research, see what feels good to you, but also be real with yourself. Christina was real with herself. She said something clicked in her head and she started doing the work.
Yeah.
So let's see if anybody else have any comments, and then I'll ask Christina a couple of questions. Someone said habits of a goddess definitely did that for me.
Mm-hmm.
My whole day is off if I don't do my morning routine. I agree.
Yeah,
Have
same.
like a morning routine.
Right.
Mindset is the hardest muscle to exercise. It's
Mm-hmm.
only hard if you think it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
um, we've definitely been there. This is why I love the podcast. It's something real. Thank you guys. Thank you. And someone said, laugh out loud. Yes, you feel accomplished. Agreed. I love this live. That's great. Thank you, ladies. I listen while making breakfast for my girls, listening in the car. I love that. Listening in the car on the way and stuff. That's great. You see any other comments or anything, Christina?
Well, I was just gonna actually on listening into the car, like listening in the car. That's something that I learned to do in a sense that I used to only listen to this podcast when I was like sitting still, could really absorb those affirmations. But some days you're not there. Whatever happened during the day, you can't get to that still place where you can meditate. Like just playing it in the car, just having it in the background makes I would say that makes a big difference too. Like I like to be able to dedicate like the ritual, like light the candle, that whole thing. I love to do that, but some days when you're not, when you're still in that phase where you it sounds too big for you, like it sounds too good to be true, you can't, it's hard to justify like making that time for yourself. And so if you can, like, or if you're just too busy, that too, you know, like it helps just to play it while you're in the car. um
Yeah. It's baby steps. Find what works best for you. If it's playing it in the car, or if it's playing it while you're taking a bubble bath, or while you're in the shower, or if it's playing while you're doing your makeup and hair. Like, I literally dedicate my morning to like meditating, and I do it when I'm just still like laying in the bed, and then also as I start to get dressed, I still have it playing as background noise, but subconsciously like it's in my mind. So find what works best for you.
100%,
So,
100%.
Butterfly said, "I just listened in the car. You, your very first one. That one is my favorite. Thank you, the self-love one."
Yes, that's
Thank
a good
you. So I have a couple of questions for Christina. She already answered one of them, but the other question I have, and you probably kind of answered this one, but I'll still ask for those maybe who are still joining in. What was like the pivotal change in your life that made you go like, okay, like affirmations and meditation? Like, do you remember like pinpoint exactly like the pivotal change? Like like, do
one.
you remember like, I know you said you met your a friend on
Reddit, yeah. Reddit.
Reddit, sorry, Reddit.
Yeah, it's
But
okay.
like, was that like the pivotal change? Was that like, would you consider that was like the pivotal change for you to be like, okay, affirmations, I need to like look up some podcasts
Yeah,
or affirmations?
because there are actually, like, he was in such a worse situation than me, like I won't go into it, but some people, like, you think, like, whenever you are feeling bad about yourself, right, I realized I had so much to be grateful for. I was like, this guy is managing to stay positive and he's in a much worse situation than I am. I need to toughen up mentally. Like, that was basically what made me click. He was like, I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this, and I was like, wow, I don't do any of that. I just stay in bed all day. I don't, make green smoothies or any of that. And I'm my situation is much easier to deal with, so he really put me in perspective. But I would say, it really, I also think, like, life, much is complicated about it. And so sometimes there are numerous factors for why you're not doing it at one point. Like, it could be, like, you're changing, you just moved into a new living situation, you're still adjusting. So for me, it was, I started living with my parents in a more stable environment, and I was able to have that routine. And so, like, through having that routine, then I was like, wow, this is making a giant difference in my mindset. So it was that, really.
You needed that stability. You were able to kind of be like, okay, let me look around. You started appreciating your environment. You started appreciating like, okay, this person is sharing their story with me, and I'm over here and I'm like, wait, let me start appreciating
Mm-hmm.
the things I
Yeah.
have, and let me start incorporating this into my lifestyle. So to me, appreciation, like, that's what came to my mind as you started telling me, was like you started appreciating. And that's like the quickest way to really like shift your energy and your mood, is appreciation, showing gratitude, and start thinking whoever you believe in, God, universe, whoever you believe in, right? You start appreciating just life in general. And then you just energetically switch. You just, something switch within you. You start attracting community. You start attracting, a healthier life. Everything just starts appearing and looking different. And the only thing changed was you started appreciating. So I adore you for that.
Thank you.
The other question I had is, do you have a ritual now with meditating, since you've been doing it for a little bit now? Do you have like a ritual? Do you like to light a candle, or do you like to maybe meditate at the park, or like, do you have like any kind of like ritual you would like to share with us?
Yeah, so for me, I don't know about you guys. I feel like I have to be in the right headspace to meditate sometimes. Because I actually, after I listened to the Habits of a Goddess podcast, I put on a mindfulness meditation, because I feel like it really primes my brain. It gets me like started. And so usually I'll actually eat something because I wake up in the morning and I'm like, you know what? I can't handle this just yet, but I really want to. And so I'll like have a small breakfast, and then I'll be like, okay, I'm sitting on my bed. I make sure my posture is straight. I'm like all ready, and then I say it. After she says it, I say it. I repeat after her every time she speaks. It's like I'm, back in school. So that's I just find the sitting upright is actually the most important part, because sometimes if I'm lying down, I'll like fall asleep, or I get kind of lazy with my thoughts. So for me, it wasn't just listening, but sitting upright. And if it's hard for you, I put pillows. I put like 6 pillows. I'm like, your back is going to be straight. It
Get
makes you
comfy.
feel better. Yeah, exactly. So I just make sure I'm sitting up straight, and I try to give it all my energy. And so I do it 2 times a day. Ideally, I say this like I'm this perfect monk. I am not.
No,
I do it
it's
most of the time.
fine.
Yeah, I would say 5 out of 7 days, weekdays usually, I'll do like first thing in the morning, I'll do the affirmations and then a short little mindfulness meditation. And then at night, I'll do the bedtime ones. I really like those because I'm like, yes, I'm ready to sleep. Because I have, like I was saying, like I struggle with insomnia and like shakiness and stuff like that. So it really kind of helps me center myself for bed. So yeah, I'm just someone that needs a lot of reassurance because I'm really like anxious. And so the journaling, I do journal too. Actually, I answer 6 questions before I even start.
That's good.
Yeah, I have a lot of rituals. I'm very like, I don't know if I would say, it just makes me feel comfortable. You can
Yes.
do it. Yeah, you can don't need all of these rituals, but I like to journal sometimes at night, and then I'll, do the meditation, and then I'll go to bed. It just helps me feel like my day has closed. Like it's like opening and closing a book.
I love it. I love to journal. I keep a journal by my bed on my nightstand. And then I have like a journal in the kitchen because sometimes like when I'm making breakfast, like I'll just get like these ideals. And I'm like, okay, let me write this down. And so as you start to like do the inner work, ideals and stuff is going to flow to you naturally. Like you're going to just be like maybe driving and something will come to you. You're like, oh, I need to write this down. But like it's about like receiving, like receiving the assuredness from the universe, like everything is going to be okay. You may get signs like we talked about in the podcast, angel numbers, like everything is going great. So let's see what a couple of people comment. Let's see. Yes, I saw Nightbird Birdie on America's Got Talent, and her struggle definitely made me grateful and made me want to seek more ways to help myself. Again, going back to there's things we have to do for ourselves. I love that. I found a lovely journal for intentions and reflections at Five Below. Yes, and you can find a journal, whichever works best for you. So yes, if you guys have any questions for Christina, I don't know if I can see if you guys submit any questions here. Okay, no. So if you guys have any questions, comment below for Christina. And while we're waiting, if you guys have questions, Christina, do you have any questions for me?
Yes, actually. Was so for affirmations for you, was it something that has always been with you, or how did you stumble upon it? Did it happen earlier or later? How long ago? When? How? What's the beginning story there?
That is a beautiful question. So I want to say this. When I was a child, I did not know anything about the word affirmations or manifestations or law of attraction or any of that. And of course, unless you're taught this as a kid, you probably don't know it either. But we do it as kids. Like we speak positivity, we manifest, like we do it naturally because that's our natural state. That's natural for us. So as a child, I played sports. I competed in pageants, and mentally, to prepare myself to do those sports, I had affirmations in my head. I just didn't know they were affirmations. So to answer your question, I've been doing it my whole life. I just didn't know I was doing it. But I also had a point in my life where I was speaking negative thoughts or thinking negative thoughts too as well. And so fast forward, I think around 22, that's when I intentionally started seeking more like spiritual, just more guidance. And I heard for the first time like affirmations and like manifestations, all of that. So intentionally like knowing that I'm doing it like around 22, and I'm 29 by the way. So around 22. So I started doing that, and I started listening to like motivational speakers, and I started reading books that were like personal development. And so intentionally, I started like around 22. And I knew that it was something, I knew it was something that was powerful, because what you think, you create your reality. And I know, I believe in law of attraction. Like, whatever you have vibrating in you, you're going to attract that. So if I'm thinking, oh, no one's going to like me, I am just, I'm not a pretty person, no one wants to be my friend, when I walk into a room, no one's going to approach me. No one's going to want to talk to me, because that's what I have playing in my head. But if I walk into the room confident and I look around and I'm like, everyone wants to talk to me, they want to approach me, opportunities are flowing my way, you know, I'm going to attract that. So I knew that intentionally, like around 22, and I started implementing that in my life. And that has brought me to where I'm at today.
Oh, that's awesome. That is so awesome. And I
Thank you.
similarly had a similar experience actually. When I was little, I was very positive. And when I got to high school, it was I was often sleep deprived, because I went to a high school that was like an hour and a half away from me. So I would miss sleep at night. And I noticed especially with sleep, I just want to emphasize this. Sleep is so important. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I find it harder to think positive when I'm sleep deprived. And I just, after I started getting better sleep, it changed. I started thinking, why am I talking negative? But when you're sleep deprived, you can't even reflect. You're just like, I got to get through the day. I got to get through the day, and then I got to sleep. But anyway, that was when my
Yes.
self-talk really deteriorated. And then when I got to college and I didn't have to go on an hour-long commute, I was like, wait, I have all these negative, like, I'm not taking care of myself. And then I started meditating, and I started going to group fitness classes, which is where I got all my confidence back. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Yeah. But
That's good.
so,
I
yeah.
want to say this too. I posted this in the IG stories this morning. I got a new book from the spiritual bookstore I went to yesterday. It's called The Master of Love by Don McGill. And he talks about how, as we were kids, we're like more playful, we're more happy, we're joyous. And adults, they can poison us, right, with their limited beliefs. They could get on to you and be like, stop playing, stop running around, like, go sit down, right? And then we start to be conditioned, and we start to grow up like that condition. And so when you're an adult, you have to kind of reprogram your mind. And so I'm mentioning this book because I know that when we're born into the world, when we're kids, when we're really young, we don't have like any limitations. We're just free. We're just like happy. Like, happiness is our state of being. And then as you start to grow up, according to your environment, that can influence you.
Right.
And if you spend these years trying to, like, you know, deal with that on the inside. And so I encourage you guys to check out that book. It's a really good read if you guys are book lovers.
Yes, I just wrote
um,
it down. That was why I was typing. I'm like, this is going on.
yes, yes. I encourage you guys, because it's some really good chapters in there. I'm on chapter 3 though, but it's still really, really good. And there's a chapter in there about unconditional love. I haven't gotten to that one yet, but I kind of have an idea like what he's going to talk about. But it's a really good book to check out. And someone comment, I reside in Atlanta. Do you offer meditation that focus on affirmations at a location? Or do you offer meditation that focus on affirmations on Zoom? Are you like referring to like Atlanta affirmations? Like, are you referring to that like location wise?
I think she means in we go, there's a place where we say our meditations, like we gather together, like a community kind of. I
Oh,
think that
oh,
I might be
okay.
wrong, but interpret
If you are referring to what Christina say, I don't have like a location. But that's something to consider. I don't have like a location. Um, but thank you for that question. I don't have a location.
right. And as far as me, I don't do that, but I would be open to it. I never really I primarily find myself listening to other people give me meditations. I've never hosted my own, but if you would be interested in that, I would totally do it. Whatever opportunity I can put more good out into the world.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So let's get some like ladies in the comments, or if you guys watch this, replay it later, just send me a DM and let me know where you're from, and maybe we can have a goddess retreat. It could be maybe online or in person. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there in the universe. I'm not going to think hard about it. Yes. I'm just going to say goddess retreat. If you guys are interested, it could be via Zoom, or it could be in person. You just have to like request it. We got to have more than me, Christina, and Luxurious Wealth Online, though. We got to have more than 3 people.
It has to be a community.
It has to be a community.
Yes. Yes.
Do you have any more questions for me? Or if you guys have any questions for Christina before we end the live, comment away, ask away. But do you have any more questions for me?
I think I had one more. I was just like, what kind of meditation practice do you personally enjoy? Like, are you a mindfulness meditation person? Are you a, like what kind of, and you have a lot of them on your podcast, like a lot of different affirmations. Is there one you really keep close to your heart that you do all the time, or?
So it depends on like where I'm at mentally. I don't have like one particular one that I only listen to, because each like affirmation that I put out, it's something I personally experience maybe that week or like leading up to it. And so I'm like, okay, let me write out, like how can I work on this, right? So like I'm working through it with you as well. But I do post a lot on the IG stories. I like to go to I like to do walks like in nature, and I like to find like a little river and sit down and just meditate, or don't have anything playing and just listen to like the river, like listen to the water running. So I like to do that, but particular one that I've been listening to over and over, because I know that I'm still working and healing through it, is Forgiveness is a Gift. Forgiveness is a gift for you. So I encourage you guys, if you feel like you're holding on to something that you need to release and let go, listen to that episode and you will start like shedding off things that you need to forgive. Most importantly, it's just forgiving yourself, because a lot of times we play stories in our head and we start to like, blame ourselves for certain situations, and it's not about that. It's about healing, evolving, and just releasing, So I started doing that, and more opportunities started flowing my way. I release.
I love that. I really do. And a big thing is nature. Nature's huge. I've heard lots of studies done that just the patterns of nature, we strip them in the cement jungles that we live in, like, or concrete jungles, whatever you want to call them. And when you enter nature, it's everything about the experience is rejuvenating. It's like, I don't know how many of you have nature near you, but I highly encourage it. I'm definitely guilty of not going to nature, because I'm like, oh, I'm not, it's weird. It's just like I was saying earlier, like it's a worthy thing. Like I'm not worthy of that beauty. And I'm just like, what the, Christina, stop, and it really.
Ooh, so why don't you create nature around you?
Yes, I should get some plants.
Oh, get some plants. Yeah. I don't know if she's on here, but one of the lovely goddesses that follows the podcast and here too as well, Marcy, her Instagram handle is like Smiley something. If you're on here, just say hi. But I follow her page, and she has like plants, like all different kind of plants, and I love watching like her like repot them and like making them grow. And so like her home is like plants everywhere. So like bring nature to you. Go get some plants.
Yeah. Good point. It's a good point. It really brings life to the room. 100%.
Let's see. I look forward to returning back to business strategy, but I have a contract that requires me help fight COVID. So I don't have time to do beautiful and therapeutic walks and self-care. You have to make the time though. You have to like make the time. Whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you have to make the time. We say we don't have time, but we really do. We have
Yeah,
time.
that's
It's
true.
precious. You just have to make it.
And a lot of
Make the
sometimes
time.
time goes to social media, and that was something I was guilty of, and I didn't even realize it. Like, for me, I would scroll on Instagram, and I would look, and I was like, oh my god, I've been spending hours, you know. So just look where you are using your time, right? If you feel like you
Yes.
don't have time, where in your life are you overspending your time? Is it Instagram? Is it, I don't know, texting your friends? Just reassess. That might
Yeah.
help you. I mean, like, or are you, I don't know, watching TV? You know, there's a lot of things that can suck our time and energy that maybe not are not always deserving of it. And you are
Yeah.
deserving of it time, you know, like you, if you're, you know, overextending in some areas, remember that you are worthy of that time and that you can say no.
Yeah.
Like, I love one of the affirmations she says is like, saying no to others is saying yes to myself, right?
Yes.
Like, practice saying no. And it's
And
so
no is a
hard.
complete sentence. Do not
Yeah.
explain yourself. Do not
Yeah.
explain yourself. And if maybe you're overextending your time talking to a friend on the phone, like maybe you're being that person, that go-to person for friends. Okay, maybe that's one phone call you don't need to answer for the week, and that could be your me time.
Oh wow,
So
that's a busy schedule. That is maybe at work then. Make the time at work if you can do that. Um, but I wish
yes,
you the best of luck implementing it. You know yourself better than I do, so I'm sure.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
We definitely wish you the best on like finding some harmony in your life and just, creating time for yourself. Maybe journal that, like how you can write out, like if you could journal how your day would be with implementing what we're talking about, create that, like write it down, like actually take time to journal it, and don't think about it, just journal it, what you desire, how your day to be, how you want your day to go. If you have the time to meditate, to do what we're talking about, right, write that down, like how would that look like for you, luxurious wealth online, and just write it down and put it away. Don't think about it, and just watch it start happening for you. Because once you like get it out of your head, like I can't, I don't have time, and you put it on paper and you're like, I do have time. so so but thank you guys for tuning in on the live. We definitely appreciate everyone who's been sending hearts. I know a couple of you guys are just joining, but we are at the end of the live, and I'm going to save this live. Christina's going to repost it on her page as well, so you guys can follow her. And also, would you like to shout out your pages so they can follow you?
oh, yes, sure. I have my more professional Instagram, which is Chronically Resilient. That's my, like, where I post, you know, information about chronic illnesses and also like mental illnesses, like all kinds of stuff like that. And then I have my more personal account, which you can follow. It's just, you know, it's going to be my personal life. I'm not going to be like trying to create content for everyone, although sometimes I do try. So I would recommend, if you want to follow me, I would recommend my more professional one. But yeah, those are my Instagrams.
Nice. And yeah, so thank you guys. Thank you, ladies. And thank you, Christina. I will definitely chat with you a little bit later.
Yeah, 100%. I would love to hear more from you. You're wonderful.
Yes, thank you. So we appreciate you guys for tuning in, and everyone have a beautiful day. And don't forget to follow Christina, Chronically Resilient _, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
underscore. There's an
underscore.
underscore there. Yes.
Underscore, yes. And then just go back to the previous post and you'll see her IG handle. So it'll be easy for you guys to just follow her and show her some love and support too. She's one of us.
Oh, thank you.
All right. So bye, ladies. Thank you.
Bye. Have a great day.
Bye.